Oh my, things are not looking too good for Luffy in this chapter of One Piece. It's just as we all feared. If Cracker got back up, it would mean that Luffy, by far, he is not ready for the Yonkos at all. I mean, it was already kind of a given. He was already struggling with Cracker, but still. To go Gear 4 against Cracker just meant that that's just how far he had to go to take out one of her subordinates. I don't even want to begin to imagine how powerful, Big Mom is. But now seeing how Cracker is literally able to make a bunch of clones, these biscuit clones, and then fight Luffy. And Luffy is literally using Gear 4, okay? This is like his peak right now, like, as we know, unless he has Gear 5 or something, as we know, this is his peak. And he is struggling against one of her commanders, and this commander can make more biscuit clones, just keep summoning them up, spawning more and more up, and Luffy is struggling with a barrage of his, Kong gun. He's just hitting the fuck out of all the biscuit soldiers, and they're holding back. They're at like a standstill. They're being able to slowly advance, but also they're being able to hold back Luffy's Gear 4 with their shields. That is just saying something right there. Holy shit. If Luffy is struggling against Cracker, which is a Yonko, and this, Cracker, since he's a commander, he can literally make infinite supply of soldiers, and Luffy was struggling with one. GG. GG, 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 GG. Like, holy fuck. This opponent right now, GG. This is very powerful. Now I can see why a lot of our supernovas got fucked up by Big Mom's crew now. Now, you can completely understand, because this right here, holy shit. I mean, Luffy is struggling right now, and he's in Gear 4. He's in Gear 4. And to make matters worse, this man was able to cut Luffy while Luffy had his hockey up. Well, yeah, look, if you look in the chapter, go to the panel, I mean, it was a blade, obviously. We know Luffy can be cut, but still, he had his hockey up, and he got cut through his hockey straight in his arm. And that would mean that this blade that this dude has, he's good enough to be able to cut through Luffy's hockey, so his hockey's not going to protect him. His Gear 4 is not going to be able to fight off these infinite supply of clones. He's in a very bad situation, so everything is against Luffy right now in this fight against Cracker. Now, my only assumption at what can go down here right now to possibly have Luffy to win is that he's going to need help. He's going to need help from someone, and I feel like the way this is going is that this is just not a fight for Luffy. Luffy cannot win against a guy that has an infinite supply of men he can constantly summon, and also since Luffy is on a timer with his Gear 4, it's just a very, very bad situation where it's a very bad matchup, and it's not something he could literally fight at this time. And so thinking about this, I feel like maybe some form of like water-based ability might be something that to be able to counteract against Biscuit and all these different Biscuit clones and then what Cracker's doing, because think about this, what happens to bread if you get it damp, like if it has water or something put on it? What happens to bread? It gets soggy as fuck and it's not able to hold its form and it falls apart. That's what happens to bread. I mean, when you go fishing and you're slinging, bread into the water to, just have fish eat some bread or something, or when you're just wanting to, like, let's say put a lot of different sauce or something on like a hamburger and your bun gets soggy, that's kind of what happens. And I feel like the way this is going, since we have Nami in the area, and Nami, as we know, she can kind of control the weather, she can make like thunderstorms and stuff, I feel like maybe this is what's going to happen. Luffy's going to get into the point to where he literally can't fight much, or he's about to have his timer expire. Nami's going to have to come in, and she most likely will use her abilities, what she has, and she'll probably call in some form of storm to be able to rain on Cracker's Biscuit soldiers, and then make it to where his Biscuit soldiers become soggy, and then Luffy's able to punch him and probably knock him out. Because one of the things we did find out in this chapter is there is an incredible weakness to Cracker. And now, we could take this however we want, we could kind of interpret it any way we want, but if we know anything when it comes to One Piece, Oda, he loves adding these little hints and foreshadowing things, and also he loves adding these little details that probably really matter later on down the road in the fight. And you have to where Cracker said, like, I don't like pain. I do not like pain. The translation already said, like, I just do not like pain. And thinking about it like this, what if when he says he doesn't like pain, what if, like, he slightly got tapped or something, he just starts crying. I mean, look, we've seen some crazy character traits and stuff in the past for different characters that, our Straw Hat crew has fought. So, it's not something we haven't seen before. So, I could see something like maybe Cracker's biggest weakness is if he, like, got slightly punched, maybe he just gets knocked out because his body just literally, he just doesn't like pain at all. But he's a very powerful guy. That could be like his gimmick or weakness, and maybe that's like one of the ways to beat him. If Luffy can land a punch on the main body, maybe he can end the entire thing. I have no idea, but still, I'm just throwing it on out there. So getting off of the Cracker and Luffy stuff, because right now it's just all downhill for Luffy, let's talk about what's going on with Nami. So Nami in this chapter, there wasn't a whole lot of info. We just know that she's been interrogating the homies, trying to get them to work for her, and so that's kind of what's going on with that. So there's not really much progression, so to say, in that area, but most likely she might pop up to help Luffy if things continue to go south. Now, getting off of that, let's talk about the Carrot and Chopper scene in this chapter, which was very important and very crucial to probably the entirety of this arc. Now, as we know, Brûlé, she actually set Chopper and Carrot in this mirror world, and it's like a prison. They're in a prison, they can't escape at all. But at the same time, this is an advantage for the Straw Hat crew, because all these mirrors in this mirror world are connected to every single mirror on the entirety of the island. So that would mean that Carrot and Chopper could go traveling throughout this entire different, like, mirror world, go to a different mirror and try to find Sanji that's next to a mirror and say, Sanji, we're here to save you. Luffy's in the forest and all that, probably telling all sorts of details. I can see where Chopper and Carrot could probably become the people that are giving the information to all the other Straw Hats throughout the entirety of this arc. I could see something like that happening. Maybe, Chopper Carrot going to where Sanji is and telling him what is going down. And I feel like it's a very good setup. I like the way this was explained in this chapter. And then moving over to Pedro and then Brook. Pedro and Brook are kind of being a little bit sneaky. They're hiding inside of a soldier, and they're going to where the soldier's going to, like, stay for the night and just, deactivate or whatever, just stay there for the remainder of the night. They're just, hiding away in a soldier until it's safe, and so they're kind of like just trying to sneak into the castle like that. So there's not really much overall progression besides their whereabouts at this time. It was kind of like a status update. So one of the last things to talk about would definitely be the Sanji stuff at the end, the final part of the chapter, and you see it to where he starts to shake a little bit, and you see to where he has fear or something going on. While we don't understand if it's because he's angry, if he's scared, we don't really understand the entirety of what he's probably feeling in that scene, but you do see some sweat, and it does look like he's grabbing himself pretty hard, like he's scared or something, and it's after that you see it to where his two older brothers appear there on the island. So most likely Sanji is terrified of his brothers, but also if you look at the panel right next to it when Sanji's holding himself like he's scared, you see it to where he has a cigarette, and you see where the cigarette, bud, like the tip of the cigarette falls off with the ash. And if I had to assume anything, if Oda's trying to mean any underlying hidden meaning in that panel, it looks like to me like some form of time is running out panel. Like, think about this, okay? A cigarette could be kind of symbolized as time. See, a cigarette has a certain set amount of time until it completely burns all up and you can't smoke it anymore. And Sanji's cigarette right now, seeing how, like, the tip of it fell off, it's like a timer. The time is slowly ticking away for the cigarette, and I feel like Oda's trying to imply that Sanji's time is running out for his possible escape to get off this island and go back to his crew. I feel like that was what that panel was trying to mean, what those emotions that Sanji was feeling at that time was probably because he fears and is angry that he's running out of time, and if this continues, he will not be able to escape. So, yeah, that's about it when it comes to this chapter. A very, very good chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.